This is a trigger warning. This video will be talking about eating disorders and different traumatic events. If you might get triggered, please click off. Thank you. Let's go on with the video. Hey y'all, it's Lizzie and welcome back to my channel, and today is going to be part one of a couple of videos as my life goes on. As you can see from the title below, the name of this series will be called My Effed Up Body. This will be going into mental illnesses, physical illnesses, and current diagnosis that I'm still trying to get. Let's go ahead and start with part one and start with one of my mental illnesses that I've spoken about on this account before, but I've never really gone full depth into it. I've gone over other mental illnesses, but today I want to focus on the main one. So let's go ahead and get started. So as you saw from that little screen there, today we're going to be talking about my atypical eating disorder. I have been struggling with an eating disorder since I was about 14 years old. Actually, no, before that. The only difference was that I wasn't really super active in it. So I've always had issues with my body. When I was in middle school, I could easily just go work out at the gym. I was super into athletics, so I was able to lose weight pretty quickly because I was always working out. But then we hit high school. During this time, I was dealing with my quinceañera. If you're not Hispanic, a quinceañera is basically like a sweet 16, but at 15 years old. I was getting ready to prepare for that ceremony. Me and my mom had gone to pick out a dress while I was still in 8th grade. It was this beautiful lime green dress. At this time, neon was huge, and I had always loved lime green, and it was this beautiful strapless neon green ball gown with little crystals, and it was beautiful. But when we first got it, I still hadn't hit my full puberty. So we bought it, we started payments on it, and then I ended up gaining weight. About 1 to 2 months before the actual party, I went to try on the dress again, and it wouldn't close by this much. I basically had a couple of months to lose all the weight. I didn't choose the healthiest way. I needed to lose it fast, so the first thing I did was just starve myself. I stopped eating for a couple of days, not knowing that I would actually bring a lot of bad effects to my body. This was also when pro-ana and pro-anorexia, pro-thinspo, all of these things were still huge on Tumblr and Instagram and on Pinterest. I haven't even deleted my full ana folder in Pinterest, but I was very, very into that situation. After the party, I ballooned up again because I started eating like I normally would again, and all the weight I had lost was put back on. And then start the next 3 years, which were the hardest and happiest years of my life. Sophomore year was super into K-pop. So of course, if you've ever heard of K-pop, which I'm pretty sure at this point everyone has, the women are super skinny. They're known to just be thin, like crash diets, anorexia, all that jazz. I started getting obsessed with it and started being like, you know what, you need to get that thin, you need to be as small as them. And one of my main inspirations was CL of the group 21, because I loved her body. She was thin, but she still had a body, like she still had a shape, a figure. I loved it, but I didn't realize until years later that all of those pictures of the K-pop stars looking amazing would literally just be from crash diets, and they would lose all of that progress within like a month or two. I was obsessed with that image. And then in junior year was when my depression hit the hardest and my eating disorder just skyrocketed. I wouldn't eat for days. I would drink iced coffee most of the time. My day would consist of the morning, buy an iced coffee before school or drink water on the way to school. Get to school, don't eat breakfast, go straight to Starbucks and get a coffee. During lunch, get a Monster and another vanilla iced coffee. And then after school, if I was staying late, another coffee and maybe a protein bar. I kept doing this for months on end, and then at the time it didn't help that I also just gotten into smoking cigarettes. So when I would feel hungry, if I didn't have a coffee or something around me, I would smoke cig. That was what my life consisted of from junior year to the first semester of senior year. During senior year, that was when I almost fainted walking down the stairs because I hadn't eaten in 3 days. I had just been loading up on coffee and cigarettes, and I was like, you know what, you need help. I talked to my mom about it, and I ended up going to a therapist. They helped me through it, and then I graduated. I moved up here to Denton to college, and I thought I was all better, you know, because you think to yourself, I've already been through the therapy, I should be fine. I fell back into my unhealthy ways, but this time it was more of boba tea, iced coffees, of course. Keep in mind, UNT had this thing called Flex Point, or Flex cash, something, a flex card, but it was money that would be included for you to spend on whatever you wanted after you paid for that meal plan. So I had one that was like $200 on my account, and the majority of that went to a bunch of Starbucks. I would buy iced coffees. At the time I was like, yeah, you're eating healthier. I would maybe eat like half a panini for lunch. Wow, I was really unhealthy. I didn't realize that. What the fuck? At the time, during my freshman year, since I had a meal plan, I could still go eat at the cafeterias. I loved eating at the cafeterias and I hated it because you could kind of manage your portions and everything. So I would still eat meals, you know, like I would for lunch, sometimes I would still go to the cafeterias. I would get the simplest things. I would get a salad. I would get some chicken and some rice, call it a day. If it was dinner time, I would go to Bruce Hall and get delicious meals. Then my senior year started. That's when I started living alone again. I had stopped smoking at this point, so I was a little healthier, and then I started to gain weight because I was on birth control. The birth control story will also be one down the line. Trust me, there's reasons for these. After I started gaining weight, I got extremely depressed. I wasn't eating again. I was drinking a lot. Since I had stopped smoking, I substituted that with alcohol. That went on for my entire senior year. I looked amazing. During that senior year, that's when I would buy iced coffee in the mornings before class. I would buy half of a panini. If I didn't have enough money for a panini, I would buy the chicken sandwiches from Burger King. I wouldn't drink soda. Everything was water or iced coffee or tea or alcohol, of course. That's what I kept doing for the rest of that year. And then I graduated, went back home, started eating healthier again, and then I moved back up here, but this time to start a job. And that's when I relapsed wholeheartedly. I thought I was fine up until this point. And even now that I'm analyzing everything, I'm like, wow, you were still sick after graduation. I came back in July. A flurry of things hit in August of 2018. I had just gotten dumped. I had just started a new job in a whole new city. I had just started driving on highways. I just made like a permanent financial move. I was financially supporting myself, and everything was just stressing me out. Those things hit all within a month, and I shut down. For the next 3 months, I was extremely unstable. My emotions were up and down, up and down. I was bipolar as fuck. I stopped eating except one meal. I would only eat one meal at lunch at school, and then for the rest of the day, I would just be smoking cigarettes. I'd smoke 2 cigarettes on the drive to school, would then buy an iced coffee and then go inside. Stay there for lunch. I would eat one meal, go back to class. Keep in mind, I would still be eating little snacks here and there, but they weren't like filling snacks, maybe like crackers and stuff. So then after that, school would end. We would still stay. I would eat another snack, and then I would go home, and on the drive home I would smoke another 2 cigarettes. And then as soon as I would get into my apartment, I would put more coffee, or I would get some alcohol. I would make myself a drink, and I'd smoke about 4 to 5 more cigarettes before going to bed. That's how I lived for a couple of months. And college was the same thing. If I was studying, I would smoke a cigarette here in my apartment. Like, I didn't give a fuck. But after a while, December of 2018, I got extremely sick. I almost passed out driving. Keep in mind, my entire life was in shambles at this point. Like, my mind just couldn't handle everything that was going on. I ended up getting a cold, but since my immune system was so low, it felt like the flu, and I just felt extremely sick. I couldn't eat, I couldn't do anything, and that's when my doctor said, have you been taking care of yourself? And I was like, no, not at all. I went back home that Christmas to go see my family, and for the first time in my entire life, my father told me I looked too skinny. Keep in mind, this is from a family that had been telling me that I needed to lose weight since I was about 10. So the fact that my own father said you look too skinny, I got terrified. I was like, oh God, we did something terrible to our body. The next year I was trying to get healthier. I stopped smoking. I was still drinking a lot, but I was eating more. I was trying to get into that groove of being more myself. And then I met the boyfriend I have now. He helped me stopped drinking because I was on the verge of self-destruction at that point. I had already stopped smoking, but he helped me stop vaping, and overall he just helped me back into recovery. I still have moments where if I mess up something at work, if something happens and I just get really depressed, I'll still go back to those times of just not eating. Right now that I'm filming this, I'm going through one of those little bouts, and it's why I look so melancholy and pretty tired, but it gets better with time. The relapses start to get shorter and shorter. At some point you start to catch yourself on what's wrong. The calculator never turns off, I can promise you that. It's always running. You're you're always going to be thinking about the calories. The only difference is that at some point you start to ignore it and you actually start to live your life. So that was part 1 of my effed up body. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you've ever had any disorder or anything like that. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. All of my social media is down in the description below, and I will see you guys next time.